Hello my dear students, welcome back to the video lesson. I am Shweta Gupta, your maths teacher, and today I am going to teach exercise 10G of lesson number 10. The topic of the exercise is decimal fraction as quotient in division of whole numbers. So let's get started. Children, in the previous exercises of this chapter, you have learned to divide a decimal fraction by a whole number, a decimal fraction by a decimal number, decimal fraction. Now children, in this exercise you will learn that how to divide two whole numbers and get the answer in decimal fraction. So let us see what are the steps for that. Sometimes when a whole number is divided by another whole number, the quotient is a decimal fraction. You know that a fraction can be written as a division sum. So, a fraction can be changed to a decimal fraction by division. In all this, you have to remember one thing, and that is a whole number is also a decimal fraction with trailing zeros. That is, 5 is a whole number and you can write 5 as a decimal fraction and then it is equal to 5.0. In the same way, you can also write it as 5.00 or 5.000 or 5.0000 and so on. So, a whole number is also a decimal fraction with trailing zeros. Now children, let us understand how do we get decimal fraction as quotient in division of whole numbers through one example. The question is express 9 3 by 8 as a decimal fraction. 9 3 by 8 is a mixed fraction, so first we change it into improper fraction. So it is equal to 75 by 8. Now 75 by 8 can be written as 75 divided by 8. So now let us divide 75 by 8. So when we divide 75 by 8, 8 nines are 72. So in the quotient we will write 9 and we will write 72 below 75 and subtract 72 from 75. And what do we get? We get 3 as remainder. Now children, we will, after 75, there is a decimal point in the dividend. So what we are going to do? We will put this decimal point in the quotient also and then we will carry down that 0. Right? Because we have written 75 as 75.0. So now we will carry down the 0 and our dividend become 30. So now we will divide 30 by 8 and we will put a decimal point in the quotient. So when we divide 30 by 8 we get 24. That is 8 3s are 24. So we will write 3 in the quotient after the decimal point. And then we will subtract 24 from 30. We get 6 as remainder. And now children, after putting a decimal point in the quotient, we can add 0 at every step. So here we will add 0 after 6 and our dividend becomes 60. Now we will divide 60 by 8. We know that 8 7s are 56. So we will write 7 in the quotient and then we will subtract 56 from 60. And what do we get? We get 4 as remainder. Again we will add 0 and it will become 40. So now we will divide 40 by 8. We know that 8 5s are 40. So now 40 minus 40 is equal to 0. So our quotient is 9.375. Therefore we can say that 9 3 by 8 is equal to 9.375, which is a decimal fraction. Now children, let's move to exercise 10G and let's do some of the sums from this exercise. So the first sum is C part of question number 1. Here we are dividing one whole number by another whole number, that is 154 divided by 28, and both of them are whole numbers. So let us do the division. Now children, since we have 2 digits in the divisor 28, first we will take 2 digits in the dividend also, and the number formed by the first 2 digits is 15, which is less than 28, therefore we have to take 3 digits. So we will take 154 and then we will divide 154 by 28. So children, 28 5s are 140, right? So we will write 140 below 154, and in the question we will write 5. And now we subtract 140 from 154. What do we get? The remainder. We get the remainder as 14. And now children, after 154, it is we have put point. So now we will put this point in the quotient also, and then we will add 10 after 14, and our dividend will become now 140. And now we will divide 140 by 28. So now children, you know that 28 5s are 140. So in the quotient we will write 5 after the decimal point, right? So 140 minus 140 is equal to 0, and therefore what is our answer? Our answer, or the quotient of this division, is 5.5. So 154 divided by 28 is equal to 5.5. Now let's do the D part of question number 1. Here we have to divide 80 by 32. So we will write 80 as 80.0 and let's divide it by 32. So children, 32 2s are 64. So in the question we will write 2, and now let's subtract 64 from 80. We get 16 as remainder, and now we will put the decimal point in the quotient after 2, and now we will bring down that 0, and our number to be divided will become 160. And now let's divide 160 by 32. 32 5s are 160. So in the quotient we will write 5 after the decimal point, and 160 subtracted from 160 gives 0 as remainder. So 80 divided by 32 is equal to 2.5. Now let's do the C part of question number 2. Here we have to divide 18 by 125, and both of them are whole numbers. So let us see how we will do this division. Children, we will write 18 as 18.0. And now children, since we know that 18 is less than 125, so what we will do, we will put the decimal point after 18 in the quotient. We will write decimal point, and then we will divide 180 by 125. So 125 ones are 125. We will write 125 below 180, and then we subtract 125 from 180, and what do we get as remainder? We get 55 as remainder. Now we will add 10 to 55, and our dividend will become 550. And now we divide 550 by 125. Now 125 fours is equal to 500. So now we will subtract 500 from 550, and we get 50 as the remainder, and again we will add 0 to 50 so that our dividend will become 500. Now we will divide 500 by 125. So 125 fours are 500, and 500 minus 500 is equal to 0. So what is our quotient? Our quotient is 0.144. So children, we can say that 18 divided by 125 is equal to 0.144. Now children, Let's do the D part of question number 2. Here again we have to divide 150 by 600, right? So let's see how we will do this division. Now children, we can write 150 as 150.0. Now since 150 is less than 600, so we will put the decimal point in the quotient, and now our dividend will become 1500, that is 1500. And now we will divide 1500 by 600. Children, 600 twos are 1200. So after decimal point in the quotient we will write 2, and below 1500 we will write 1200, and we will subtract 1200 from 1500, and what do we get? We get 300. Now children, we will add 10 to 300, and so it becomes 3000, and we will divide 3000 by 600. And we know that 600 5s are 3000. So in the quotient we will write 5, and then we will write 3000 below 3000, and we will subtract 3000 from 3000, and we get 0 as remainder. So the answer or the quotient of 150 divided by 600 is equal to 0.25. Now let's do the D part of question number 3. And the heading of the question is convert into a decimal fraction. So children, now here we have one fraction which is 1 by 8, and we have to change it into decimal fraction. Children, 1 by 8 can be written as division form as 1 divided by 8. So now we will divide 1 by 8. Now children, one more thing is there. We can write 1 as 1.0. So now we will divide 1.0 by 8. Since children 1 is less than 8, so what we are going to do, we will put the decimal point in the quotient, and now we have the number 10, and we divide 10 by 8. So 8 ones are 8. So in the quotient we will write 0.1, and then we will subtract 8 from 10. We get 2 as the remainder. So we will add 10 to 2, and it will become 20. Now we divide 20 by 8. So 8 twos are 16. So we will write 2 in the quotient, and we will subtract 16 from 20. We get 4 as remainder. And now what we are going to do, we will add 10 to 4, so that it becomes 40. And now we will divide 40 by 8. So 8 5s are 40. And 40 minus 40 is equal to 0. So now what is the answer? The answer is, or the quotient is 0.125. So we can say that 1 by 8 is equal to 0.125. Now let's do the E part of question number 3. So here we have the fraction 1 by 25, which we are supposed to change to decimal fraction. Now children, 1 by 25 can be written as 1 divided by 25. So let's divide 1 by 25, but before that we will write 1 as 1.0, and then we will divide it by 25. Now children, 1 is less than 25, so what we are going to do, we will put 1 point in the quotient, and now our number is 10. But 10 is still less than 25, so we will put 10 in the quotient, and then we add one more 0 in the dividend part, and so our dividend becomes 100. And now we divide 100 by 25. So 25 fours are 100. So what is our quotient? Our quotient is 0.04. So we can say that 1 upon 25 is equal to 0.04. Let's do the C part of question number 4. The question number 4 is convert into a decimal fraction. Again, we have to change the fraction into decimal fraction in this question also. So the C part of question number 4 is 11 by 16. So 11 by 16 means 11 divided by 16. So now let's divide 11 by 16. So first what we will do, we will write 11 as 11.0, right? And now we will divide 11.0 by 16. Since 11 is less than 16, so what we are going to do, we will put a decimal point in the quotient, and now our dividend will become 110. So we will divide 110 by 16. So 16 6 are 96, and now subtract 96 from 110 and write 6 in the quotient part, and now we get 14 as remainder. Now we can add 0 to 14, and now our dividend will become 140, and we divide 140 by 16, and 16 8s are 128. Now 128 subtracted from 140, we get the remainder as 12. Now we will add 0 to 12, and now it becomes 120, and 120 divided by 16. So 16 sevens are 112. So we will write 7 in the quotient and then subtract 112 from 120. We get 8 as remainder, and we will add 0 to 8, so it becomes 80, and now we divide 80 by 16. So 16 fives are 18. So we will write 5 in the quotient, and 80 subtracted from 80 gives 0 as remainder. So 11 by 16 is equal to 0.6875. Now let's do E part of question number 4. Here we have to convert 17 by 25 into a decimal fraction. Now 17 by 25 can be written as 17 divided by 25. So we will divide 17 by 25. So we will write 17 as 17.0 divided by 25. Again children, 17 is less than 25. So what we will do, we will put the decimal point in the quotient, and now our dividend will become 170, and we divide 170 by 25. So 25 6 are 150, and in the quotient we will write 6 after the decimal point. So now subtract 150 from 170, and we get 20 as remainder, and we will add 10 to 20, so it becomes 200. 200 divided by 25. So 25 8s are 200. In the question we will write 8 after 6, and then 200 minus 200 is equal to 0. So remainder becomes 0, and our quotient is 0.68. Therefore we can say that 17 upon 25 is equal to 0.68. Now let's do the D part of question number 5. Here we have to convert 27 by 80 into decimal fraction. So 27 by 80 can be written as 27 divided by 80. So 27 points can be written as 27.0, and let's divide 27.0 by 80. Again children, 27 is less than 80, so we will put a decimal point in the quotient, and now our dividend will become 270, and we divide 270 by 80. So 270 divided by 80. So 83 is a 240. So we will write 3 in the quotient part after the decimal point, and 240 below 270. And now subtract 240 from 270. And what do we get? We get 30 as the remainder, and we add 10 to 30. It becomes 300, and 300 divided by 80. So again 83s are 240, and 240 subtracted from 300 gives 60 as the remainder, and we add 10 to 60. It becomes 600. So 600 divided by 8. So 8 sevens are 560. And now we will write 7 in the quotient and subtract 560 from 600. We get 40 as the remainder, and we will add 10 to 40, so it becomes 400, and 400 divided by 80. So now 85s are 400. So in the question we will write 5 after 7 and 400 minus 400 is equal to 0. So now children, our quotient is 0.3375. Therefore, we can say that 27 upon 80 is equal to 0.3375. Now, let's do the D part of question number 5. Here we have to divide. Here we have to change 72 by 125 into decimal fraction. Now 72 by 125 can be written as 72 divided by 125. So let's divide 72 by 125. We will write 72 as 72.0. Now children, when we divide 72.0 by 125, since 72 is less than 125, so we have to put the decimal point in the quotient, and now our dividend will become 720 and we divide it by 125. So 125 5s are 625. So in the quotient we will write 5 after the decimal point, and now 625 subtracted from 720 gives 95, and we add 0 to 95 and it becomes 950. So we divide 950 by 125. So 125 sevens are 875. So in the quotient we will write 7 after 5, and now subtract 875 from 950. We get 75 as the remainder, and we add 0 to 75, it becomes 750, and let's divide 750 by 125. So 125 multiplied by 6 is equal to 750. So in the question we will write 6 and 750 subtracted from 750 gives 0 as the remainder. So the quotient is 0.576. Therefore, we can say that 72 upon 125 is equal to 0.576. Now let's do the D part of question number 6. Here we have the mixed fraction 15 3 by 16, which we are supposed to convert into a decimal fraction. So first of all, we will change this mixed fraction into improper fraction, which is equal to 243 by 16. Now 243 by 16 can be written as 243 divided by 16. So let us divide 243 by 16. First we will write 243 as 243.0, and now let's divide it by 16. So children, 16 ones are 16. First of all, we will take 2 digits in the dividend, that is 24, and we divide 24 by 16. So 16 ones are 16. Now let's subtract 16 from 24. We get the remainder as 8, and then we will carry down 3 and our number become 83. So now let's divide 83 by 16. 16 5s are 80, right? So in the quotient we will write 5 and 80 subtracted from 83 gives 3 as remainder, and we will add the 0 to 3 so that it becomes 30, and 30 divided by 16. So 16 ones are 16, and we will put a decimal point in the quotient after 5, and now after decimal point we will write 1. When we divide 30 by 16, 16 ones are 16. So 16 subtracted from 30 gives 14 as the remainder, and we add 0 to 14 so that it becomes 140, and 140 divided by 16. So 16 8s are 128, and 128 subtracted from 140 gives 12 as the remainder, and we will write 0. We will add 0 to 12 so that it becomes 120, and now we divide 120 by 16. So now children, 16 sevens are 112. So we will write 7 in the quotient, and now 112 subtracted from 120 gives 8 as remainder, and now we add 0 to 8, it becomes 80, and now let's divide 80 by 16. So 16 fives are 80, and 80 subtracted from 80 gives 0 as remainder, and our quotient is 15.1875. So 15 3 by 16 is equal to 15.18375. Now let's do the E part of question number 6. Again we have the mixed fraction 20 11 by 20, which we are supposed to convert into a decimal fraction. So first of all, change this mixed fraction to improper fraction. So 20 11 by 20 will become 411 by 20, which can be written as 411 divided by 20. So now let's divide 411 by 20. So we will write 411 as 411.0 and divide it by 20. Now children, we will take 2 digits in the dividend so that our number becomes 41, and we divide 41 by 20. So 22s are 40. In the quotient we will write 2, and now 40 subtracted from 41 gives 1 as the remainder, and we will carry down 1 from the dividend and it will become 11. Now since 11 is less than 20, so we will put 1 0 in the quotient, and then we will carry the 0, and after putting 0 in the quotient we will put the decimal point, and then we will carry down 0, and then our number becomes 110, and 110 divided by 20. So 25s are 100. So we will write 20.5 in the quotient, and let's subtract 100 from 110. We get 10 as the remainder, and we add 0 to 10 and it becomes 100. Now divide 100 by 20. So 25s are 100. In the quotient we will write 5, and 100 subtracted from 100 gives 0 as the remainder. So we can say that 20 11 by 20 is equal to 20.55. Now children, let's come to the home assignment. So these are the questions which you are supposed to do as your home assignment in your maths homework copy in a very neat and clean handwriting and on your own. This way we have come to the end of our video lesson. I hope you have very well understood all the sums that have been explained in this video lesson. Thank you, my dear students. Keep watching, keep learning.